Hey everyone, Jessie here from Jessie on a Journey and Travel Blog Prosperity, here with another travel blogging tutorial. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is pitching. Now, there are loads of different types of collaborations you can pitch. I talked about this in my podcast episode about my outreach days strategy, how I spend one full day per month at least just doing outreach. And, who I'm reaching out to just depends on my goals. I'll link that podcast episode and the show notes in the description of this video in case you want to check it out. But there are loads of different things you might pitch. You might pitch other bloggers to collaborate or cross-promote. You might pitch brands to work together or different brands to sponsor your content. Today, we are going to be going over a pitch template that you can use to pitch brands to work together to sponsor your content. This is actually my go-to pitch template that I use to pitch brands, and it's worked really well for me. Now, before we dive into the template and the strategy, I do want to direct your attention to the video description as well as the QR code on the screen, which will give you access to my free travel blogger resource library, which includes 55 plus resources, all meant to help you grow your traffic community and income. And that includes this pitch template. So we're going to be looking at it, on a screen, but you'll get it in a doc that you can just copy and paste and tweak it to use for yourself. You'll also find affiliate marketing workbooks, email marketing workbooks, a workshop on blog monetization, a template for writing an SEO optimized blog post from scratch, and more. So feel free to pause this episode to go grab those resources. And when you're back, let's look at the template. Okay, so let's start by just reading the pitch full through so you know what we're talking about. And then we'll go section by section to talk about why it works, kind of the psychology behind it, what I'm doing there. Now, I did bleep out the brand name, but we will talk about tips for choosing who to reach out to at the end of this video. Okay, so let's read. Hope all is well. My name is Jessie, and I'm the founder of the blog Jessie on a Journey, as well as the host of the Profitable Travel Blogger podcast, which shares tips and strategies for travel bloggers looking to grow their traffic community and income. I'm currently reaching out to potential podcast sponsors that align with my audience for the new season, which begins recording in mid-September. Might this be of interest? Working with brands is a popular revenue stream for travel bloggers, and I'd love to introduce brand, and it would have the brand name there, as a way to take these collaborations to the next level and really impress their partners. You can view the show's media kit here. Then I have another section called Email Partnership. If podcasts aren't a focus for your team, I also offer email sponsorship packages, media kit here. My average open rate is, and click-through rate is, and I give those stats there. Then I say, here is a quick testimonial from an email campaign I did to promote a conference I spoke at. And the testimonial said, we love getting firsthand advice from people who actually know their audience. It's been such a pleasure working with you for this. We've partnered with several other bloggers, some with audiences surpassing the millions, and your audience was one of the most responsive by far. So keep up the amazing work that you do. Laura Peters, Travel Blogging Summit. Laura is an amazing creator. I love collaborating with her. And then I close out. Please let me know your thoughts. Looking forward to hearing from you. Now, let's go section by section to talk about why I put the information in this pitch that I did so that you can start thinking about your own pitches and really thinking about them intentionally. So the first section is just the intro. I introduce myself and the podcast. I do link to my blog, but that's not what I'm pitching. So I don't want to add unnecessary information. I'm not really talking about, it's a solo female travel blog focused on adventure and sustainability. We're going to talk about the podcast. That's what I want them to get excited about. That's how I want to, what I want to work together with them on. I'm currently reaching out to potential podcast sponsors that align with my audience for the new season. In that section, I'm letting them know the purpose of the email. Like, what's the point? Why are you emailing me? What do you want from me? And I asked them if it would be of interest. Then the next section, I say, working with brands is a popular revenue stream for travel bloggers, and I'd love to introduce your brand as a way to take these collaborations to the next level and really impress their partners. This section is where I'm really showing the brand that this isn't a mass email. I know what you do. I know the benefits you can deliver to my audience. And I'm making it clear that I did my homework and that I know what they do. And little aside here, I do a lot of research when I choose the brands I want to pitch with. I mean, many of the brands are brands that I use myself, but if it's not, I'm reading reviews. I'm really doing my due diligence to make sure I understand how this can benefit my audience because A, I want to show my audience sponsors that would benefit them, and B, I want the sponsor to have a good experience working with me. Like, I'd love for my listeners to actually purchase their products and sign up or whatever the call to action is so that they want to work with me again. I want it to be beneficial for everyone involved, myself, the brand, my listeners. Then I link to the show's media kit. I have a specific media kit for the podcast. Now, I could end there and this pitch would be totally fine. Like maybe underneath that, I'd give a testimonial from the show, maybe from a past sponsor if I had one, or maybe from a listener, at least maybe like a great review that I got on Apple Podcasts or something like that, something to pique their interest. But I do know that podcasts are a little more niche in terms of sponsorships. Like most brands that work with content creators do sponsored blog posts. They probably do sponsored Instagram posts, but not everybody does sponsored podcasts. At least that's what I've seen in my experience. So I do like to give them another option. For my podcast, the audience is my travel bloggers, right? Me personally, my brand is kind of split, at least for Jessie on a Journey. I've got my solo female travelers and then my travel bloggers. And I segment that email list. I have different sort of content for each of them. The podcast is for travel bloggers. And I want to make sure that the next section, the next idea I'm giving them is also related to this travel blogger audience. For me, my email sponsorships do really well for the travel blogger segment of my email list. So I want to put an option in front of them that I feel will do well and that they'll be interested in. So the next section, I say if podcasts aren't a focus for your team, I also offer email sponsorship packages, and I have a separate media kit for that because email sponsorship is something I do often. And then I give them a quick stat. These, like my stats are in my media kit, but I want them to get excited to work with me even before they click through. You don't want to overwhelm them with every possible bit of information that you could give them in the email, but a quick stat just so they, oh, okay. And then I do the testimonial, again, just to get them excited and see, okay, she gets results. Now, keep in mind, this pitch email, you might be thinking, okay, well, I don't have a podcast or I don't do email sponsorship. I focus on Instagram. That's usually how I like to work with brands, or maybe you don't work with brands yet, but you'd like to and you're doing well over there. Instead of saying your average open rate and click-through rate, you'd give your engagement rate. Maybe your testimonial would be from a brand that you worked with on an Instagram partnership. Or if you don't have that, maybe it's one of your Instagram followers DM'd you and said, hey, I loved that product, that hotel, that destination, whatever that you recommended, and I bought it and I loved it. And you could show, hey, I get results. People that follow me on Instagram, they actually listen to my recommendations. Now, when it comes to who to pitch, I recommend that you first think about the channel or the project that you would like sponsored. Like I said, you might instead think about Instagram sponsorship. You can see right here, that's a sponsored Instagram reel that I just worked on with a brand. You can absolutely tailor this pitch to fit different platforms. And when it comes to who to reach out to, like maybe you're saying, okay, yeah, I'm really great at Instagram. I love creating reels. I'd love to get some of those sponsored. Start with your warm leads, your warm connections, people that you've interacted with. Maybe it's past brand partners. Maybe it's affiliates, particularly affiliates you do well with. Maybe it's a brand that you connected with at an event or a conference. You could also, one step below that, think about, I call them semi-warm leads, like maybe brands you've emailed a bit with, or maybe they sent you a press release, or maybe it's even products that you use, but you haven't formally connected with them. I say semi-warm because there's plenty of tools that I use in my business that I know would be great for bloggers because I use them, but I've never worked with them. Maybe I'm not even an affiliate for them or anything, but I love them. And then I could email them and tie that in and say, hey, I've been a longtime user of your product. I love it. Here's how it's benefited my business. And I'd love to share that with my audience through my podcast. Would you like to sponsor an episode? So you have that tie-in. And then below that, there are the cold leads. These are people, brands, products that you don't really have a connection with, but maybe you see they have amazing reviews and you'd love to reach out to them and see if there is a way to collaborate. If it's a product, maybe you can try it out first. I always like to do that before I promote something and make sure it's really something my audience would love. But I can usually get a pretty good idea before even reaching out by looking at reviews, by looking at tutorial videos and seeing how a certain product works. So, if you're looking at a product and it has really mixed reviews or bad reviews, I would just skip that. Even if they say, oh, we do this amazing thing, look at those reviews first before you waste your time reaching out to a brand, trying out a product, seeing that it isn't very good, and then having to tell them, this might not work. Do that research beforehand when reaching out to those cold leads. All right, now I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you feel inspired and empowered to start pitching brands to work together on paid collaborations and sponsorships. Don't forget to grab access to the free Travel Blogger resource library that I've linked in the video description, and you can also grab it via the QR code on the screen. There are a ton of resources in there that can help you grow your traffic community and income, and that includes a template, the pitch template that we looked at, but it's in a doc, so you can just copy and paste it and use it for yourself. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss future videos sharing strategies for travel bloggers who want to turn their blogs into profitable full-time businesses. Happy blogging!